The wind screamed outside. Dust blew across the dead land. The sky was dark even during the day. This place, this forgotten planet, was cold, dry, and cruel. Inside a broken hut made of old metal and wood, a weak alien woman lay on the floor. Her name was K_RYL. She hadn't eaten for days. Her lips were dry. Her arms were thin and shaking. Her breathing was slow. She was close to fainting. No food, no water, no light. Only silence and pain. Kirill stared at the cracked ceiling. Her purple skin was pale now. She tried to move her fingers but didn't have the strength. She was once strong. She was once proud, but now she was forgotten. Her own people had left her here, thrown her into this hut like trash. "We don't need the weak," they had said. "You are broken." And then they locked the door and flew away. Kirill didn't even scream. She knew they wouldn't listen. Now she was alone. Dying. Her stomach hurt. Her head was hot. She whispered with dry lips, "Please, not like this." The wind outside grew louder. She closed her eyes. Maybe this was the end. But then, footsteps. Slow, heavy boots walking on dry ground. She opened her eyes again. Barely. Was it a dream? Someone was outside. Kirill tried to sit up, but her body didn't move. She could only stare at the door, hoping, fearing. The door creaked. A shadow stood there. A tall figure. Broad shoulders. A weapon on his back. Covered in sand, he looked human. Kirill blinked. A human? On this planet? The figure didn't speak at first. He looked around the hut. His eyes stopped on her. She looked like a ghost, thin, dirty, shaking. He stepped inside. The floor cracked under his boots. Kirill wanted to speak, but no words came out. Her voice was too dry. The man dropped to one knee beside her. He took off his glove and touched her forehead. "Fever," he said softly. "She's burning up." He opened his pack and pulled out a small water bottle. Gently, he helped her sit up and touched the bottle to her lips. "Drink," he said. Kirill's lips moved. She was afraid. Who was this man? Why was he helping? The water touched her tongue. Cold, sweet, life. She drank it all in seconds. "Easy," the man said. "You'll get sick." Kirill coughed. Her voice cracked like broken glass. "Who are you?" The man looked at her. "My name's Ray," he said. "I was passing by, saw smoke, and this hut." She shook her head weakly. "You should leave." "I'm nothing. They left me." Ray's face changed. Anger flashed in his eyes. "They did this to you?" he asked. She nodded once. Ray stood and looked around the room. The walls were rusted. The bed was broken. There was no food, no medicine, just a weak girl left to die. "I can't leave you here," he said. Kirill whispered, "Why?" Ray turned back to her and said, "Because you're still alive, and no one deserves to die alone." He lifted her gently in his arms. She didn't resist. She couldn't. Tears rolled from her tired eyes. She wasn't even sure if they were tears of fear or relief. As Ray carried her out of the dark hut, the sun broke through the clouds. For the first time in many days, Kirill felt warmth, not just from the sun, but from someone's heart. The human didn't know who she was. He didn't ask for anything, but he came when no one else did. And that's where her story began again. Outside, the land was still harsh. The future was unknown. But Kirill wasn't alone anymore. Not now. Not ever again. The wind was quiet now. Ray walked across the dry plains, holding Kirill in his arms. Her body was too light. She barely moved. Just a whisper of breath. He had seen death before on battlefields, in cities burned by war. But this felt different. This was cruelty with no reason. A woman left to die not by enemies, but by her own people. Ray didn't understand alien politics. He didn't care about alien rules. But one thing was clear. She Should not have been left like that. As he reached a rocky cave nearby, hidden between sharp cliffs, he stepped inside. It was his shelter, temporary, cold, but safer than that hut. He laid her down on a padded mat, placed a blanket over her, and lit a small fire. Carill's eyes opened slightly. She saw the flicker of fire, and him sitting nearby, watching her. With steady eyes, "Where are we?" she whispered. Ray leaned forward. "A safe place, for now," she coughed. "Why are you doing this?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at the fire. Finally he said, "I've seen enough people die. Couldn't stop most of them. But you, I found you in time." Carill turned her face away. "I don't deserve saving." Ray frowned. "Why not?" She was quiet, then. She spoke soft and broken. "They said I was useless, too soft. I refused to fight when ordered to hurt innocent creatures. They called me weak, disgrace, so they left me to die." Ray looked at her carefully. "You refused to kill?" She nodded. He gave a small nod of respect. "Then you're stronger than all of them." Carill blinked. That wasn't what she expected to hear. "You don't even know me," she said. Ray tossed another log on the fire. "Maybe not. But I know what it means to be thrown away." Carill turned back toward him. "You too?" Ray gave a sad smile. "Once upon a time, yeah. My own people didn't throw me in a hut, but they stopped needing me." He looked at the fire again. "I was a soldier, good at it. But when the war ended, they tossed me aside. No medals, no help, just forgotten." They sat in silence for a moment. Two strangers, one human, one alien joined. By pain and firelight, Ray stood up and walked to his pack. "You need more than just water. Let's get some food in you." He pulled out a ration bar and unwrapped it. Gently, he held it to her mouth. Carill hesitated. Then, slowly, she took a small bite. Her eyes widened. "Tastes like rock," Ray chuckled. "Yeah, it's soldier food, not made to taste good. Just keeps you alive." She managed a faint smile. "You could have just left me," she said again. "Why didn't you?" Ray paused. Then softly, "Because when I found you, you looked at me like you still hoped someone might help. Even after all that, you still hoped." He leaned closer. "That's rare." Carill looked at him, not with fear now, but something new. Trust. Weak, tired, broken, but somehow safe. Ray sat back, checking his weapon out of habit. The fire crackled between them. "I don't know what comes next," he said. "But I do know one thing." Carill watched him carefully. "You're not dying alone on this planet. Not while I'm here." Her lips parted slightly. "Then, what am I to you now?" Ray looked into her eyes. He said just one word: "Claimed." She woke to the sound of wind, but softer now. For the first time in days, she was not cold. Carill blinked slowly. A small fire crackled nearby. The smell of smoke, dry earth, and something warm in the air told her she wasn't in the hut anymore. She looked around. A stone cave, deep and hidden. Light from the fire danced across the walls. Her body was wrapped in thick fabric. Her wounds were cleaned. Her lips weren't dry anymore. And across the fire, he sat. That human. Ray. He had removed his armor. His shirt was torn at the shoulder, showing an old scar. He didn't notice she was awake. He was fixing a tool in silence. Focused, calm, Carill stared at him for a moment. She had never seen a human before, not like this. The ones in her stories were wild, dangerous, too emotional. But this one had carried her. Fed her, saved her. Ray looked up. Their eyes met. "You're awake," he said softly. Carill nodded. He stood, walked over, and knelt beside her. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Strange," she whispered. "Like I'm still dreaming." "You're not. You're safe now." Her voice was quiet. "For how long?" Ray didn't lie. I don't know. But while I'm here, no one will touch you. He handed her a small container. Inside was warm broth, simple, but it smelled rich. She took it carefully, her hand still shaking as she sipped. Her eyes stayed on him. Why are you doing this? I told you, he said. I don't leave people behind. She looked down. You don't know who I am, what I did. Ray leaned back and crossed his arms. Then tell me. Kirill didn't speak for a long time. Then slowly she began. I was born into the Vizari caste, trained to fight, to obey. But I asked too many questions. I showed too much mercy. One day, I refused a command to destroy a helpless village. They said I shamed the bloodline. So, they threw me out. Ray's jaw tightened. That's not shame, that's strength. Kirill looked away. They called me cracked glass, beautiful once, but now, useless. Ray said nothing for a moment. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a small, chipped metal. He tossed it into her hands. She stared at it. What is this? My medal, he said, for bravery in war. But it's broken, like me. She looked up, confused. I was told I was too soft, Ray said. I helped civilians. Disobeyed orders that would kill the innocent. My command told me to leave. Said I wasn't a real soldier anymore. Kirill looked at him with wide eyes. She wasn't the only one. She wasn't alone in her pain. Ray stood and walked to the edge of the cave. The wind outside had picked up again. We may be broken, Kirill, he said. But even broken things can protect. We still have worth. She clutched the chipped metal tightly. Something inside her shifted, not healed. Not whole, but not empty. Either. Then a sound. A soft beep, like a machine. Faint, but near. Ray froze. He turned to Kirill. Did you hear that? She nodded slowly. Ray grabbed his rifle and moved to the entrance of the cave. Crouching low. Outside, in the distance, a flicker of light. A red dot blinked across the sky and vanished behind the cliffs. Ray cursed under his breath. Surveillance. Drone. Kirill's heart dropped. They're tracking me. Your implant? Ray asked. She nodded. I didn't know it was still active. Ray moved quickly. We need to move. If they come back, they won't leave you breathing this time. Kirill tried to stand. Her body was still weak, but she forced her legs to move. Ray caught her. Easy, we'll go slow. She looked up at him. You're still helping me? Ray looked her straight in the eyes. I told you. You're mine now. Asterisk. The stars were watching. Far above the empty planet. They blinked silently as two souls moved across the sand alone, hunted and unsure what waited in the dark. Ray walked in front, weapon raised, eyes sharp. Kirill walked behind him, leaning on a metal walking stick. Her legs trembled with every step, but she didn't stop. She wouldn't be weak again. The sky was black, the ground cold, and the air full of silence. But silence, Ray knew, didn't mean safety. We need to reach the canyon, Ray said softly. Rock walls will block the trackers. Kirill nodded, breathing hard. How far? Ray paused. About 2 hours, if we're lucky. They walked. Then, a sound. Not wind. Not footsteps, something else. A low growl. From behind the rocks. Ray stopped, raised a hand. Kirill froze. Then she saw it. Eyes, dozens of them. Glowing in the dark. Creatures. Small, fast, crawling over the sand like black spiders. Long tails, sharp teeth. No fear, Kirill gasped. Dune crawlers. Ray didn't blink. Predators? Worse, she whispered. They eat the weak. Slowly, the first crawler hissed. Then the whole swarm moved as one. Ray raised his rifle. Stay behind me, he said. The fight began. Bright flashes lit the night. His rifle fired in short, loud bursts. One crawler fell, then another. There were too many. Ray switched to his blade. Clean, fast strikes. He moved like a trained warrior, protecting Kirill with every step, but blood spilled. A claw cut across Ray's side. He didn't stop. Kirill fell to her knees, her breath sharp. One crawler leaped at her fangs open. Her hand grabbed a broken metal pipe from the ground. Crack! She hit the beast hard. It fell. Another came. She swung again, shaking, but fierce. Ray turned and saw her fighting, not hiding. Not crying. Fighting. The swarm backed off. Too many dead. In the silence that followed, Ray stood, chest rising fast. Blood on his sleeve. Kirill stood too, shaking all over, gripping the metal pipe with both hands. You okay? Ray asked. She nodded. You? He smiled through the pain. I live. He looked at her. You didn't freeze. You fought back. She looked down at her hands. I didn't want to be helpless again. You weren't, Ray said. You saved yourself. And in that moment, something changed in her eyes. Fear was still there. But under it, strength. They walked again, slower, bloodied, but alive. As they reached the edge of the canyon, Kirill stopped and looked back. The crawler bodies lay in the sand, unmoving. She turned to Ray. You could have run. Left me during the attack. I told you, he said. You're not a burden. You're claimed. Kirill stepped closer. Why? What do you get from this? Ray looked up at the stars. I don't know, he said honestly. Maybe I just know what it feels like to be nothing. And I won't let you feel that again. A silence passed between them. But it wasn't cold anymore. Ray found a small ledge. In the canyon wall. A cave, shelter. They entered, tired and quiet. Inside, Kirill sat down, breathing heavy. Ray checked his wound, cleaned it, and sat across from her. Kirill looked at him. Ray, she said softly, why do you still trust me? Ray met her eyes. Because no one ever trusted me when I needed it most. I know how that feels. She didn't speak. She just watched him. And for the first time since they met, she leaned her head gently against his shoulder. No words, no promises, just warmth. And outside, in the dark wasteland, something else watched from afar. A black drone hovered, its red eye blinking. Silent. Recording. Then it flew away. The desert had no mercy. Every step burned under the twin suns. The sand stuck to sweat. The air was dry enough to crack skin. Yet they walked. Ray led the way, silent, watchful. Kirill followed, quiet, determined. They didn't speak much. The silence between them wasn't empty now. It was shared, but Ray noticed something. She was walking straighter. Slower, yes, but stronger than before. Days ago, she had been dying in a dark hut. Now, she was surviving beside him. They stopped to rest in the shadow of a broken satellite dish, sticking out of the ground like a dead tree. Ray checked the map on his wrist display. The signal was weak. If we make it across this desert, he said, there's a human outpost 30 kilometers north. They might help. Kirill looked up. And if they don't? Ray gave a half smile. Then we find another way. She nodded. Then she asked something unexpected. Why do humans care about saving others? Even strangers? Ray blinked. He sat beside her, staring out at the horizon. Not all humans do, he said. But the ones who've been broken, we understand. Kirill tilted her head. Understand what? Ray picked up a small stone and turned it in his hand. That sometimes, saving someone else is how we save ourselves. Kirill was quiet for a moment. She looked at the scar on his arm. Who did you lose? She asked softly. Ray didn't speak. Right away. The wind answered for him. Finally he said, my brother. During the mission, I followed orders. And it cost him his life. Kirill lowered her eyes. Ray continued, his voice lower now. After that, I stopped trusting command. I started thinking for myself. I got labeled as unstable. They pushed me out. Saw I was a risk. He tossed the stone away. It rolled down the hill of sand. I couldn't save him. But maybe I can still do something right. Kirill looked at him with new eyes, not just a soldier, not just a rescuer, a broken man, trying to heal someone else. Suddenly a sharp beep. Ray's wrist display lit up red. "What is it?" Kirill asked, sitting up. "Drone signal," Ray said quickly. "They're still tracking us." He stood, eyes scanning the sky dot in the distance. A faint glint, metal wings against the sun. "Get ready to move," he said. Kirill stood, heart racing. They started walking again, faster now, across open land. But the drone wasn't alone. Behind them, far away, a dark shape appeared on the Fonda ridge. A transport ship. Kirill's breath caught. "That's their clan ship, the ones who left me." Ray narrowed his eyes. "They're not here to apologize." "No," she said. "They came to finish what they started." As they moved downhill toward the rocky trail ahead, Ray grabbed her hand. "We can't outrun them in the open," he said. "But we can outsmart them." "How?" she asked. Ray pointed toward a narrow canyon. "We go through the echo path." Kirill's face went pale. "That place is cursed." Ray gave her a look. "I don't believe in curses." She hesitated, then nodded. "Then I don't either." The trail ahead was steep. Sharp rocks. Echoes of wind howling like screams through the cracks. As they entered the narrow path, the sky behind them filled with engine noise. The clan ship was coming. Ray looked at her. "This is our one shot." Kirill tightened her grip on the walking stick. And without another word, they ran. The canyon echoed with the past. Every footstep bounced off the walls like voices, whispers from a life Kirill had tried to bury. She kept walking, but her hands trembled. Ray glanced at her. "You okay?" "No," she said honestly, "but I'm not turning back." Behind them, the sound of engines roared louder. The clan ship was close. Too close. Then, just ahead, the path opened into a wide circle of stone and ancient battle ground, long abandoned. Kirill stopped. Ray raised his weapon and scanned the cliffs. "We need to keep moving." But she didn't move. She looked around the rocky walls. "This place, I know it." Ray turned. "What do you mean?" Her voice was soft. "They trained us here when I was young." She stepped into the center of the stone ring. Her feet knew the ground. Her heart remembered the pain. "I bled on these stones," she whispered. "For them, for their approval." Then, a voice above. "You're still bleeding, sister." Ray turned sharply, weapon up. From the cliff edge, 3 figures stepped forward, tall, armored. Their silver skin gleamed under the sun. Kirill's blood went cold. "Vrax," she said. The tallest alien, her older brother by blood. Her executioner by choice, smiled down at her. "I see the desert didn't finish the job." Ray moved in front of her, aiming up. "You're not taking her," Vrax laughed. "We don't want her. She's no longer Vazari. She's a crack in the wall. A shame to our line." Another stepped forward, a female, her former commander. She chose mercy over duty, weakness over strength. Kirill stepped beside Ray, her voice rising. "And you chose cruelty over honor." The cliff fell silent. Vrax narrowed his eyes. "And now you hide behind a human?" Ray said nothing. He didn't need to. Kirill stepped forward, no longer trembling. "I'm not hiding," she said. "I'm standing with someone who saw value in me when you all saw trash." Her voice echoed around the ring. "I begged you," she said to them, voice steady. "I begged you to see me, to hear me. You didn't. You locked me away. You left. And me to starve." "You were soft," Vrax said coldly. "No," she snapped. "I was strong enough not to become like you." Ray smiled quietly. She didn't need protection now. She was becoming something else. Hold. But the moment was short. Vrax raised his arm. Behind him, more soldiers appeared. Ray whispered, "We're outnumbered." Kirill replied, "Then we give them something they don't expect." He glanced at her. "What's that?" She met his eyes. "A fight with heart." The ground shook as soldiers dropped into the canyon. Ray fired the first shot. Sharp, clean. Carol grabbed a staff from the sand once used to train her. Now she would use it for truth. The battle exploded. Dust filled the air. Energy blasts lit the shadows. Ray moved like a storm, fast, precise, fearless. Carol ducked, rolled, struck. She was slower than them, but smarter. They underestimated her. That was their mistake. She struck Vrax's second in command with a blast of force that sent him crashing into the stone wall. Ray fought beside her like they had trained together for years. But then, a blast hit Ray in the side. He dropped hard. Ray! Carol screamed, running to him. He coughed, pain in his eyes. I'm fine, go. But she didn't leave him. She stood over him and turned to face Vrax. You want to end this? She shouted, then ended with me. Vrax leapt down, landing in front of her. Siblings. Enemies. He raised his blade. She raised her staff. They clashed. Steel screamed against stone. But Carol didn't fall this time. She rose. Time slowed. The last strike echoed like thunder through the canyon. Carol stood over her brother. Vrax, his blade shattered, his pride broken. Dust swirled around her like smoke from a fire long overdue. Her chest rose and fell. Blood trickled from her temple. But her hands didn't shake. Not anymore. Vrax stared up at her with wide, unbelieving eyes. You were never meant to win. Carol tightened her grip on the staff. You were never meant to be followed. She stepped back, lowering her weapon. I'm not like you, she said quietly. That's why I survived. Ray groaned behind her. She ran to him. His side was bleeding. His breath was short. But he smiled when she knelt beside him. You did it, he whispered. We did it, she replied, holding his hand tightly. From above, the remaining soldiers stared down, confused, uncertain. Their leader defeated. Their shame exposed. Carol stood again, her voice strong. I'm not your castaway anymore. I'm not your disgrace. She looked around the stone ring, the place where they once broke her. I'm free. One by one, the soldiers stepped back. They didn't fight. They didn't speak. They left, and the sound of their retreat was softer than the wind. Later, as the twin suns began to set, Carol helped Ray sit near the canyon wall. She wrapped his wound. He winced but smiled. You're good at this, he said. I watched you, she replied with a small smile. A lot. They sat in silence, watching the sky turn orange and purple. Ray looked at her, his voice softer now. What will you do next? Carol took a deep breath. Live on my terms. No orders, no chains. She looked at him. And you? Ray shrugged. Didn't plan past tomorrow. She smiled gently. Then maybe we plan together. Ray blinked, surprised. You sure? I told you, she said. I'm yours now. Not because you claimed me. She placed her hand over his heart, but because I choose you. Ray's voice caught. For once, the soldier had no words. That night, under a blanket of stars, they sat beside the fire. No longer strangers, no longer broken, just two survivors who found strength in each other when the world gave them nothing. Carol leaned her head on Ray's shoulder. He wrapped his arm around her. And in the silence, there was peace. Far away, in a quiet corner of space, a human ship picked up a beacon. A female voice recorded in simple words. To any listening station, we are alive. And we're not running anymore. The message played on repeat. And somewhere beyond the stars, hope stirred.